So what has a Kango 637 breaker drill got to do with the blowing up of the Death Star? Let's find out here in the prop cave. Hi makers, I'm Ian and this is the prop cave. So, a Kango 637 breaker drill. What has that got to do with the blowing up of the Death Star? So, remember Return of the Jedi, 1983, Han, Leia, Chewie, R2 and C-3PO and the Ewoks were all on Endor trying to destroy the power generator so Lando and the rebels can attack the Death Star. Now, how did they ultimately do that? They had, if you remember, they had a load of bombs, proton grenades, that they used to destroy the bunker. Now, those proton grenades, they're only on screen for a few seconds, but to be honest, they're probably one of my favourite props from any of the original trilogy. And it's something I've been wanting to make for quite a while. I did find some 3D files online and 3D printed the proton grenade, also known as the bunker bomb. For anyone who knows their Star Wars, you'll know it's the 7PRG proton grenade. So I printed the 3D files, but as anyone who wants to make screen accurate replicas, I really wanted to get hold of as many original parts as I could. And most of those parts have been found, by the amazing prop archaeologists out there who go out and find all the original parts to make up these fantastic props. But the proton grenade body, it's remained a mystery. I mean, Return of the Jedi came out in 1983, so we're talking, that's 40 years ago, and the body of the proton grenade has remained a mystery for most of that time. It's only a few years ago that someone found out that the body is actually part of one of these things, and it's actually the inside motor housing. So God knows how they worked it out, but you have to get inside one of these things to get it, and I can tell you it's not easy. Now, if you want to be totally screen accurate, you want to get the green one of these. This is a red one. Now I'm getting hold of a green one because I will be making the prop and doing a video on making the prop after this. So I've got a green one coming, but to show you how to get into this thing, and like I say, it's not easy. I've got this red one here. So the difference is, if you look at the prop store, they recently auctioned one, and if you look at the pictures from there, it's quite a weathered prop. Obviously it's 40 years old, and if you look closely you can see that the paint has chipped away around some of the edges, and the actual body of the proton grenade is orange. And so the motor housing in the green breaker is orange. The one in this red one is kind of an off-white cream. So if you want to be totally accurate, screen accurate, get hold of a green one. But if you're not fussed, and you can always paint the motor housing orange and then do the top coat, do a bit of chipping to reveal the orange paint underneath. So anyway, so what we're going to do today, we are going to get into this thing, and I'm going to show you how to get to it. We need to take it apart, but the actual motor housing, which is inside this, is pretty much rammed in there, and it's almost impossible to get out. You literally have to cut this thing apart, which is going to be fun. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do, get rid of the wires. We don't need those. Get rid of the power cable. We're not plugged into the mains, so let's just get rid of that. Make things more easy for ourselves. As you can see, this drill is pretty banged up. It's been clearly sitting in someone's garage for a long time. So first thing we're going to do, we're going to try get this red back off. So we've got some screws here. We're going to undo those and get into it. Okay. It always amazes me how people find these, you know, the original props. How do they work it out? You know, they've spoken to someone in the original prop making team, or you know, because this thing is pretty hidden. So unless you know what you're looking for, I assume people just come on it. Whoever found it must have come upon it by accident, because it's not very visible. So if you want to get hold of these Kangos, they are on eBay or Facebook Marketplace, and they do vary in price. So I'm in the UK, and I can pay anywhere from £25 sterling to, gosh, they go up to almost to £200 depending on the condition. Obviously this one isn't even good for parts, so I picked it up pretty cheaply. Depending on how much you want to pay, they do vary in price. I do actually have a couple of these. Once they're out, I've got a couple of these, the actual motor housing, which is the bit you're getting to. I've got a couple on my Etsy store, and there will be a link in below to if you're interested in buying one and don't want to go through all the hassle of getting into this thing yourself. They'll be on there. If they haven't sold out, click below and go and grab one. Okay, so that's those screws out from the back panel there, and we're just going to take these top ones off if I can. Again, I think maybe, oh no, there's one. Now obviously if you get hold of one in better condition, you will not have as much trouble. Oh, that doesn't want to move. So let's get some WD-40 on it. WD-40 on those. Yeah, if you get hold of a new one, you won't have as much trouble getting into it as I am. Okay, so that doesn't want to budge at the moment. Right. Let's see about these ones. Oh gosh, this thing really doesn't want to come apart. It really doesn't. Right, let's see where they are. Let's see if the WD-40 will give these a little bit of Let's WD-40 is not working on these just yet. Okay, right. So I'm going to have to go and get a few more tools to see about getting this off, and just bear with me, I'm going to be back. Okay, so this baby doesn't want to budge. They've got two screws in here, they're just too rusted in. Shouldn't be a problem. Once we get this back end off, we should be able to access all the bits, get this insides out, and then we'll be able to, hopefully, we're going to cut into this and get to that motor housing. Okay, so first, let's see if this thing now wants to come off. Okay, slowly getting into it. God, this thing is banged up. It really is. Okay, so, yay, there we go. So, wow, this thing is in pretty bad nick. Look at that. That's been forced somehow, probably by me. So this bit in here, which is really dirty, that's the motor in there. This is the bit here that we're wanting. You can see this hole here, that if you recognise from the original prop on the side, has a grill over it. Right, so next thing to do, we're going to get this back bit off. So we're going to undo these screws on each side and take this off, see what we get. Okay, so hopefully these will come off a bit better, which they are. Cool. Get all these 6 screws off. Right, okay, so that's the screws off, so hopefully this piece should now come out. I've got some wires there, we can hopefully, are they wires or are they pins? They're wires, so we should be able to cut through those quite happily. 1, 2, now this obviously, this is a piece of machinery, so it's full of grease, so just be prepared for that. And so now we can see there, so this is the motor with the all the mechanisms that we've got to get out before we can get to the motor housing. So let's take a look, and so you're going to need Allen keys to get some of these bits out. Hopefully, if you can see, we've got 4 bolts here that need taking out, and then that should hopefully bring out the motor housing. Not the motor housing, the motor rather. So let's take a look. So yeah, don't wear your best clothes when you're doing this job. Wear the proper attire, otherwise you will get yourself in a real dirty mess. See if this works. Yeah, that's better. That's better. Okay. Right, so that's the bolts off from that inside. I'm actually going to put some gloves on now because it is a mess, and we'll try and get all the bits out. Okay, so we've got the bolts off, and we should be able to just simply take this part of the motor out. We don't need to worry too much about getting that out just yet. We're going to get out, and then we're going to try and get in and slowly make our way into the bit we want to get to. Okay, full disclosure, this one is so battered it's not easy to get into, but with the aid of an angle grinder I have managed to cut off this bit that goes in the front. So it's this bit from the front of the drill here. I've managed to cut off the 2 bolts that I just couldn't get off, and that reveals the end of the motor housing. You can just about see it in there, and what you need to do next, the other end where you've got all of the mechanics, you need to be able to grab this bit here, because this, when this spins, this fan spins, that spins, so you need to be able to hold on to this with something and then undo this bolt here. Now I've already done that, so this bolt will come off here, and then you can then take this fan bit off, and then that reveals the motor housing. Take off that. You've got a few screws in here which you need to undo. Hopefully they'll come out easy enough, because we're now into the inside of this thing, so it shouldn't be too bad because of all the grease. So we'll undo these screws and get to the inside and get to the actual motor. And like I say, this thing is a hell of a thing to get to. You know, I call it prop archaeology, and this really is digging for the prize, but it's worth it when you get to it. So let's get these screws out. Now hopefully when we get into this, the motor should come straight out, and we should then have access, we should be able to see the motor housing, but from experience it is so wedged in there, so tightly wedged in, we will need to cut. So that's the inside of the motor there, and then in here we have, oh, there's a spider in there. Sorry, I've disturbed your home. So in here we have the motor housing and the motor. Now what we need to now do is cut all the way down the side of this drill. There is a cavity, I don't know if you can see, there's a cavity down the side, so we should be able to cut all the way down there without damaging the motor housing, and then we prise it apart slightly. This motor housing should come out without trouble. So let's get cutting. Right, safety first. Got my goggles on, got my angle grinder. Let's get to it. this one seems to be well and truly rammed in there. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to cut this bit off the end. Oh, got a bit of damage there. Going to cut this bit across here to release this whole bit, and then that should, then we can get it off. Okay, let's give it a go. Right, so we've now cut along the edge, and look, that's already really loose, so that's going to come off really easily. Put that aside, and then hopefully we should now be able to release this thing. It really is in there. There we go. Yeah, give it some prizing. Tight and gentle, because we don't want to break it, damage it in any way. There we go. A little bit of it's coming. You will find, depending on the drill, as I said, they are all different. You will find some of them come out really easily, and some of them don't. So there it is. That's the motor housing from the Kango 637 breaker. As you can see, if you recognise it, that's the body of the proton grenade. In the movie they used all of the detail from the top here. That's where all the dials were, the switches and the lights, and on the side here, this is where they put pieces from a photo multiplier to create a grill, and then on the bottom they put a skirt to finish the detail. Now in the next video I'm going to be doing a video to actually make the prop, and I'll go through all of these other little details that you can source and find to complete your prop. But that's it. That's the body of the photo multiplier. Now we do need to get the engine bits out of the inside, so I'll just show you how to do that. First we've got to take these two screws out from the side panels. That'll, otherwise you can't slide it out. So we'll just take those out. They should come out quite easily. Take those out. Yeah, so as you can see, it does quite a mess, and plenty of parts to get rid of. So now I've taken those screws out, and this inside bit should slide out. Now obviously if it's an old banged up example like this, and rusted up, it's not going to be so easy, but they do often just slide straight out. So let's see how this one gets on. Bang. Yeah, it's going to come, I can feel it, there we go. So that's going to slide out of there, leaving a bit of a wire bit in there. Okay, there you go, that's it, the finished thing, the body of the proton grenade from Return of the Jedi. And that's how a Kango 637 breaker helped destroy the Death Star. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Please subscribe, give me a like. It goes a long way to help me build my channel. Yeah, and please watch the next video. That's it from the Prop Cave.